The case is systemic illness with hepatitis, and it's going to be presented by Dr. Amreen. Yep, go ahead.
Good evening, everybody. Our patient, a 20-month-old female child, second by birth order, born of a non-consanguineous marriage from a distant suburb of Mumbai,
Borrow your pen for a while.
presented to us with fever since 1 month and yellowish discoloration of skin since 20 days. The child was apparently all right. The child was apparently all right a month back when she developed fever which was intermittent, high grade, 2 to 3 spikes a day, responding to medications. Child was not active in the interfebrile period. This was followed by yellowish discoloration of skin 10 days later, followed by continuous high grade fever. It was associated with gradual abdominal distension which was generalized and progressive since 10 days, swelling of feet since 2 days. On inquiry, the child had excessive irritability, no drowsiness or convulsions. There was no history of joint involvement, bony tenderness or weight loss, drug intake, bleeding from any site, or past history of a cardiac, liver or renal disease.
Akyacha? Yes, sir. Yeah, 20-month-old child. Go back.
20-month-old child with fever for last 1 month and developing jaundice thereafter. That means on day 40
No.
or on day 20.
From day 20.
Yes.
Day 10.
Day 10, sir.
Day 10.
Day 10.
And followed by distension of abdomen and pedal edema.
Yes, sir.
So we'll think of one is that what are those systemic disorders wherein there is infection and there is involvement of the liver. So out of that I would think one would be malaria, of course he must have already received. Second thing is the dengue, although it is somewhat late for that to have a manifestation like that. Third would be enteric fever, suburb of Bombay.
Yes, sir.
So
Yes,
third,
sir.
Yes. So enteric fever would be another thing, because this would fit more with the enteric fever. More fit. I would keep enteric fever as number 1 possibility. Second maybe malaria, which is resistant to your treatment. And third, I would keep lower down possibility of the dengue. So these are the 3 first possibilities. Now fourth, had I been in Chennai, then I would have kept leptospirosis also as a possibility. And in Tamil Nadu, it's quite common.
In Mumbai also it's quite
I
common.
would keep, so it's common there. Therefore, I will keep first possibility enteric, leptospirosis, maybe malaria, which is drug resistant. Dengue, I would not consider that. And so these are my 3 possibilities.
Your next slide seems to indicate that the abdomen is distending, swelling of the feet, so probably is going
Leptospirosis
into
would be where you can get the feet, edema of feet,
hepatorenal.
because of the leakages.
Yeah. Child is only 20 months old. Typhoid is not very common at that
I
age.
agree.
So I
Yes.
agree. Nah?
No.
Oh, in Bombay it's, okay, Bombay is an exception to every rule. Yeah, so maybe we'll keep that same order.
So these will be, Dr. John is correct. You see, 20-month-old child, probably you would not merit even leptospirosis. Where is he getting that? So I think that is something which we should keep it in mind.
So
We
you
should
would
keep
keep
it in
an-
mind. See, it is not question of gaining, who is right, who is wrong, but these are the open possibilities and there are permutation combinations going on. So let us see the next step, what is there.
What about viral hepatitis, Dr. Yach?
Viral?
Hepatitis A.
Viral hepatitis A, fever going, first presentation, starting with fever, going to jaundice, and they have kept a title, you see, if you are intelligent. Systemic illness with hepatitis. So already the diagnosis is there. So had they kept there is a case of jaundice, presenting with fever, then we could have talked about it.
No, I agree, it's a clue. Actually, when you see Ashish on stage, you know the diagnosis has to be Wilson's. But when you see me on stage, there's no such clue given. Right, so,
Okay.
so we look,
Sanjay Prabhu should comment on this as a generalist.
Yeah.
Then we'll go to specialist.
I agree with Dr. Yacha as far as the differentials he has given. But as far as we are concerned, we don't see so much of enteric presenting as with
Correct.
jaundice, and there is evidence of liver cell failure in this child. Plus, leptospirosis, sir, is possible
Yeah.
because we have flooding and stagnant water. These children show these red bites, sir.
Dr. Gaurav, I think.
I think I'm the second clue in this because I'm a hemato-oncologist and I'm wondering where I come in. So, and it's a systemic illness, right? So yeah, the presentation is a bit unusual, but when you're getting anything unusual, then we do tend to think of proliferative disorders and reactive disorders. So possibility, we do see sometimes without any other, the other clues may not be there in this case, but if you just say progressive fever, hepatitis, liver involvement, ascites, I would think of sometimes, we do see amongst the cases presenting to us, some cases of lymphoblastic leukemia and even Burkitt sometimes with unusual presentations, presenting like this.
What
Beyond
about
that,
a biliary tract disease like cholangitis, choledochal cyst, and something like that?
That's right. We have to see, we must have one hemogram in this.
Now, forget that systemic illness. I think that's a wrong title. Let's look at.
Cholangitis. See, I don't have anything on the examination. There is nothing like liver spleen. Is there?
I am coming.
You're
I'm
coming to that. Yes.
You
not
are
come
hiding
there.
everything and asking me to comment on the biliary tract problem.
Yeah, go ahead.
On examination, the child was febrile, extremely irritable, tachycardic,
One
very
more thing,
pale.
Dr. John.
Yeah.
We have learned from Bombay one case, which was present in Abbas one of the sessions. Dr. Amdekar actually he had seen that case. That was a case that ultimately turned out to be brucellosis.
Okay.
And the fever was going for 2 to 3 months. I can't forget that case. I always think, कहीं हम तो brucellosis इसमें नहीं, इसमें अगर goat's milk की history है,
No.
I think that presentation was there last year.
it was very interesting case.
Yeah, no, that presented last year. I think that goat and that child are no more. I
Shows-
think. Yep. Yes. Yes. Yes.
Child was febrile, extremely irritable, tachycardic, very pale, icteric. There was pedal edema. There was IV prick site ecchymosis. The liver was palpable 4 centimeters below the costal margin, firm in consistency, smooth margins with a span of 10 centimeters. Spleen was palpable 4 centimeters below the costal margin. On anthropometry assessment, the weight and height was between 0 and -2 standard deviations, and the head circumference was between 0 and -1 standard deviations. To summarize, a 20-month-old female child, second by birth order, born of a non-consanguineous marriage, with prolonged fever, with jaundice, anemia, and hepatosplenomegaly, with no significant past or family history, with signs of liver cell failure, ecchymosis, pedal edema, jaundice, and extreme irritability.
Yeah. Now let's get the audience, particularly at the back. You want to comment? Yes, sir. Come. Go ahead.
Till now, what else we have seen, I think this is just a plain malaria. I mean, untreated malaria, fever going for a long time, anemia manifesting like a tachycardia, as she said, there is a pedal edema, whether the child has gone in a cardiac failure.
So you think?
I would, John, I would
Yeah.
like to add here now one more diagnosis.
Yes.
The diagnosis would be, are we dealing with hemophagocytosis or not? This is very important now. Because the bruises are there, ecchymosis is there, and liver spleen is enlarged, and what else you said, pedal edema is there, that could be there. You hurriedly presented that slide, that examination
The
slide.
previous slide.
Yeah, yes, keep it there. You know it, but we don't know it. We have to perceive it. See, there is tachycardia, very pale. That means there is anemia probably in this child. And icterus is there, pedal edema is there, IV prick site ecchymosis is there. That means there is a coagulopathy. Child is extremely irritable. Palpable liver, spleen is also enlarged, firm in consistency liver, smooth margins with span of 10 centimeters. So we have to keep the systemic disorders.
Was the child sick?
So this is a sick
Yes.
child.
It's a very sick
This
child.
is a sick
Very
child.
Very
Was
sick.
there any history of pruritus in this patient?
No, sir.
No past history. There has been no rash in the past.
No, sir.
So now further we'll know
And this
from the
child has been
investigation.
previously well. This whole history is only for a month.
Yes, sir. Before that, he was completely all right. No issues. Feeding well, gaining weight.
No, but if you see the anthropometry, the child seems to be stuck at 1 year, no?
20 months.
Yeah, but if you see the anthropometry, you said it was a full-term normal child. Huh? So you would be expecting a weight of 9 kg and a height of 76 centimeters at 1 year. So is it that the child is started retarding, getting retarded after 1 year, or this is the, have you any growth charts or any?
No, sir. They were not available. Whatever data we had was what the mother told us.
Because that would be important, whether the whole process started at 1 year or it has been ongoing since birth.
So basically, we're dealing a sick child with fever and jaundice.
Lymph nodes?
Who is in liver failure.
What about
yes, anybody else from the audience?
What
I
about
think-
lymph nodes?
Yes.
What about lymph nodes? Dr. Yacha said
Yeah, yeah.
HLH. Dr. Yacha said HLH. We want to know what about lymph nodes? Because there may be multiple reasons for HLH.
No, no lymphadenopathy.
No lymphadenopathy?
No.
So we are not thinking of an underlying malignancy like lymphoma causing HLH or something like that?
No, just because he's sitting on stage, don't think of a malignancy. He's just there.
To be fair,
Yep. Any other?
I think that just get to that slide. Right from the history itself or from the examination history itself, this appears like a child who's definitely having parenchymal liver dysfunction or maybe failure. Now, with that in mind, we should now go and see what is a 20-month-old differential would be.
Yeah, I think all those have been raised. So basically, it's a sick child with a progressive liver disease who's deteriorating, who's gone into liver failure. He's brought up malaria. Any other thoughts from anybody from the audience? Let's get some more of the audience to talk.
No, no significant family history.
अब LFT दिखा दूँ.
Yep.
so before you,
Hemogram LFT both.
Yes. The child was pale with a low absolute neutrophil count. The platelet count was also low, 55,000.
55,000.
The SGPT was elevated, 4,032.
Very high. It will be 20.
Yep. Comments from the audience? Somebody who hasn't commented so far, that price I think is still open. Huh? Somebody from the audience back, please comment on what you find.
1.4.
Yes? What do we have? We've got severe anemia. We've got low absolute neutrophil count, pancytopenia, thrombocytopenia. There's a direct conjugated hyperbilirubinemia, ALT which is very high, ALP normal, GGT above normal, albumin that is quite low, and INR 1.4, some coagulopathy as well. Yes? INR is only 1.4, but this child has skin bleeds, is it?
Yes.
Maybe it's a platelet that's the problem, 55,000. Yes, any thoughts on what more investigations do you want now? Not for the panel, to the audience. Yes? Somebody at the back? Parvovirus. It's difficult to do. Bone marrow for what? Absolute neutrophil count is low. There's a pancytopenia. So,
Pancytopenia, when you have ANC which is going very low, it points to a marrow failure.
marrow failure. Right. Yes, you want to comment?
No, nothing.
Nothing to comment. Straightforward. Yep.
Absolutely on our line.
Yes.
Before coming to us, the child was evaluated for infectious causes with malarial parasite, malarial antigen, dengue, hepatitis A, hepatitis B, C, E, and a blood culture. Everything was negative.
This was done before
Yes, sir, before coming to us.
you're passing on the sin to somebody else. Huh? Yep. Right.
ये hepatitis C बंद कर दो. HCV नहीं.
Well, I think we need to get out of this.
Abba also repeatedly said HCV मत करो. We don't see HCV infection so much in children. It's just 3% of total CLD, HCV, and that too in older children.
Dr. Kach, I think this is all coming as a hepatitis panel.
No,
A,
I'm
B,
just
C,
telling
D.
them.
I think that's
No, this is
basic.
to educate. Why to do
Why should you
unnecessarily
do at all?
HCV?
Don't use the
Not
panel.
required.
Yes.
Unless you are an educational institution, it's required.
Yes. What next? Yes, anybody what next? He wants to know what next. Serum ferritin, yes? Somebody give him a mic. You come out.
I like to do bone marrow, then next triglyceride level, fibrinogen level. And,
So you want to do a bone marrow before you do a triglyceride and...
no, first blood levels, triglycerides, then fibrinogen and this ferritin levels.
Ferritin. And then you will
Then we'll go for
think of a
bone
bone
marrow.
marrow. Yes, right. Give him what he wants. Yes. Yes.
So we evaluated for HLH in view of the fever with pancytopenia, splenomegaly and hepatic failure, which was negative for infectious causes. The ferritin was on the highest side, the triglycerides was raised, fibrinogen was low, and the bone marrow showed hemophagocytes. With an early presentation at 20 months, we did work the child up for any genetic cause. The perforin level was 2%, with a level above 50% being normal.
Yep. You want to tell them what you're seeing?
It's a macrophage which has engulfed cells, that's like a hemophagocyte.
It's a macrophage which is a hungry macrophage. It's actually eating around whatever comes its way. Yes.
Our diagnosis was a primary HLH with perforin deficiency. The child was managed as per HLH 2004 protocol with dexamethasone, etoposide and cyclosporin. She was symptomatically treated for liver failure with FFP, vitamin K and NAC as required. The child expired on day 5 of admission, 3 days into chemotherapy with dexamethasone, cyclosporin and 1 dose of etoposide.
Yes. Dr. Narula, would you like to come in? And that's where I think they brought you in.
Actually, I don't think I've had anything much to say. I remember I was called for this meeting last year too, and there was a similar case, and not similar, it was a slightly more complex than this. And I had a lot to say. And in fact, it required some convincing before people would accept the diagnosis of HLH before it was revealed. And today I'm happy to see that it's a complete sea change from last year. So yeah, this is a pretty straightforward case. And so if you've all guessed it so early, then I must be one up on you. So I can say that I guessed it even earlier than you from the first slide itself, when she said that the slide case was prepared under the guidance of Dr. Mukesh Desai. Apart from that, it's a pretty much a straightforward case as far as we are concerned. We would like to sensitize everybody, and it seems that's already been achieved, that the moment you're getting liver dysfunction with coagulopathy, of course we think
Just
of
use the
complicated hepatitis. Of course we think of complicated hepatitis and all the related causes at that time, but HLH must be on your cards. It is rare, but it's not as rare as we used to think it to be. Now that we have started looking for it actively, we have started diagnosing it in many more patients. Many more patients which used to be earlier given up as, complicated severe sepsis and multi-organ failure, actually turning out to be HLH. In our own setting, I think in Tata Memorial in the last 2 years, 2.5 years since I've been there now, we have picked up HLH during induction in ALL, in AML, and a whole lot of other situations in more than 20 patients in the last 2 years alone.
No, is it that it's become more common?
No, it's
or
not
you
become
think
more
it's that we are
common.
picking up better?
I don't think it's become more common. I think the sensitization works. If you go looking for it, you find it.
Because we now see HLH in a lot of situations. With dengue we've seen, with infectious mononucleosis.
Infections also, yes.
Yeah, so many infections we see this.
I think it's a
HLH.
function of the sensitization. There's really nothing much to suggest that the incidence of HLH may have increased. A lot of these patients earlier we used to treat as, complicated septicemia, etc. And these were the labels which were given to them. And now we know that they have a reversible cause.
Probably when you make a diagnosis of septicemia and the child is sick, multi-organ disease,
Yes.
think of HLH.
You should think of HLH very early. Bring it into your differentials very early, because picking it up earlier can help, because this child was already pretty advanced. The liver was decompensated majorly by the time she's come up for treatment. So it's not surprising that she deteriorated so rapidly despite starting. But we have seen some very sick children with HLH. Patients on induction. You can imagine AML induction where they are anyway having sepsis, the marrow is emptied out because of the chemotherapy, and despite that, in that setting, they have developed HLH, they become very, very sick, far sick, more sick than this child might have been, and they have underlying malignancies and other things related. But we have managed to pull out quite a few children by suspecting it earlier.
Is this 2004 protocol still on, or is there any change to this?
No, the 2004 protocol is the recent one, which has been added because the 94 protocol had, actually the HLH 94 protocol had pretty good outcomes, if you look at it that way. Yes. It worked very well. It worked far better than the investigators thought it would work. But there was some, deficiencies in that. And one of the major outcomes which came out in that was something which I can just further say that there is a hesitation to use etoposide, and that occurred even in the HLH 94. Because the counts are low, the ANC is low, people are hesitant to use the drug, and if they do use it, they were using it in lower doses and probably staggering out the doses, and it was felt that this might be leading to an inferior outcome, or rather that the outcome could be improved by addressing this issue. And in the HLH 2004, it is emphasized you should use etoposide early. You should use it in its full dose. The only reason when they say that you should not use it in the full dose, or you can avoid or defer it till the second week, is if you found a hypocellular marrow. Now in HLH, most likely the marrow will be packed. But if you do find a hypocellular marrow, then you may defer etoposide.
Where does anti-thymocyte globulin come in this, or has it been moved out?
Okay.
Which one?
This should I?
Yeah.
No, you can just continue.
So ATG, with the proper use of HLH 2004 protocol, many patients you can pull out with this. And those who are going to do well, the patients who die, they die in the first few weeks. At that time, it is very difficult to intensify any further from what this protocol already is. Adding cyclosporin from day one has been the other major change in HLH 2004 from HLH 94. So that's a big change, and that has made a difference as far as patients are concerned. ATG right now has been recommended only as a salvage, and frankly speaking, if somebody is progressing on this, if you can't take it for transplant, they're going to die. But they have tried ATG in that setting. We have never had the occasion to use ATG in this setting. Most of our patients who have pulled out with this regimen alone.
Yep, Dr. Abha.
Yeah, just going back to the basics. How do you differentiate? This was a 20-month-old child. There was no primary illness. So how do you differentiate a primary from a secondary, and what kind of basic investigations one would need to do?
So I don't think there's any, way by which you can distinguish them.
Like if you remember
if you have a family history,
yeah,
then you know it's a familial HLH.
Yeah.
That's certain. And as far as if you get a perforin deficiency like this, then you know that it's genetic. That does not necessarily mean it is familial, because it's a recessive trait. So you may not get a positive family history in all the cases which are familial. For X-linked, if it is there, then yes, then it'll be a boy, and then you can suspect that. If it is below 1 year of age, it is most likely familial. This child is above 1 year of age. There's no way of being certain. Really, no way of being certain.
And what's the role of NK cells?
Sorry?
NK cells.
NK cells.
Role of NK cells in the
natural
diagnosis.
etiology, or in the
In the management.
In the management.
Yeah.
So there's a decreased NK cell function in HLH. And if you can detect decreased NK cell activity, if you have the facility to do that, then that serves as diagnostic support for your diagnosis. Apart from that, that's the role. I mean, there is a decreased activity. The problem is that the NK cells and the cytotoxic T cells are not able to complete their killing of infected cell, and that is where perforin comes in. And perforin is not the only mechanism. I think there's an H-monk also. That's also responsible in about 20% of patients or something like that.
No, so do you need to measure the cell count, or is it necessary in the management at all? That's
to cell count?
For
no.
management.
No. You
NK
see,
cells,
to do the peripheral blood lymphocyte count, Shanaz and I, we had done that 4 years back. We're going to publish that shortly. We have got about 500 from cord blood till 5 years of age. We have to have the normals in your own setting, and the normals are calculated in well children. And how these behave in children who are sick is a very large thing by itself. To get how the NK cells numbers would be when as it is so low in a normal child at this age, it would be very difficult to say. What you do is, you may have the NK cells, but the activity is low. If you have to have a functional test, not just the quantitative test.
I would take you back even to the more basics. This, take you to a paper from King's College where Naresh Shanmugan is the first author, and also a similar paper that we have just published in this week. It's come out in IJP as a, as a ahead publication, where they also have taken younger children with ALF, and we have also taken children less than 3 years with the ALF. And apart from metabolic liver disease, HLH remains the most important diagnosis in this age group. So in this age group with ALF, I think HLH should be very high in your suspicions.
Yes, any other, Dr. Prabhu, you have any comment to make?
Just
or?
ask a question, John.
Yeah.
This child has complaints going on for a month. I'm sure the child has undergone many hemograms, so was it missed? I mean, a hemogram would tell you that there is a bone marrow involvement, it may not tell you HLH. But I think once you look at the hemogram, it tells you and takes you directly. So was it missed?
Was there a I don't
was
know.
it not there?
Was there a previous counts done on this child?
Yes, there was previous counts done which showed a low HB and a low platelet count. So he was ruled. So he was evaluated for the infectious parameters at that point of time.
Would have been picked up.
Yes. Is a criteria.
When it comes to the macrophage series, histiocytes, macrophages, monocytes, the etoposide is a wonderful drug for this line of cells. In your Langerhans cell histiocytosis, for example, etoposide was dropped in the later trial, but only because of its secondary problems, but it's a very good drug. So all your disorders which are involving the monocyte macrophage system, if it's a proliferative disorder, then etoposide is a very good drug, and there's really no reason to deviate from that. And we use pretty high doses of etoposide. Vincristine will come with its own problems in a very sick child, so there's really no theoretical basis to use it either. I would just like to add to the what was discussed. We all said do a bone marrow for hemophagocytosis, yes, but not finding hemophagocytosis in the bone marrow does not rule out the diagnosis. If you have this syndrome, this is HLH. You don't need the hemophagocytosis in the marrow.
It's a contributory diagnosis. It's a contributory diagnosis with that histocyte society's criteria.
So, yeah, but it's not essential. So you may not find it in the bone marrow at all. You need evidence of hemophagocytosis, but you may not find it in the marrow. So you may have to do a liver biopsy or a splenic puncture.
You just put up the
if you're insistent.
diagnostic criteria.
Have you done a bone scan in this patient, this child,
No.
to look for osteolytic lesions?
No, sir. The child had come to the ICU rapidly deteriorated.
So rapidly deteriorated.
Yes.
No, this drug regime was given at your center or somewhere else?
At our center, sir.
So why did he die? What is the reason?
So we've not seen, from whatever is our study of HLH patients which we have seen at our center, most with perforin deficiencies do not survive.
Do not survive. The prognosis is bad.
For perforin deficiency, it's not good, sir.
So and at the end you conclude whether we passed or failed.
Let us put the criteria first, then we will let you. Yep.
The HLH diagnostic criteria for 2009, a molecular diagnosis of HLH or an X-linked lymphoproliferative disease, or at least 3 of the 4, that is fever, splenomegaly, cytopenia with a minimal 2 cell lines reduced or hepatitis, and at least 1 of the following: hemophagocytosis, increased ferritin, increased soluble interleukin-2 receptor, absent or very decreased NK function. Other results which are supportive of an HLH diagnosis include hypertriglyceridemia, hypofibrinogemia, and hyponatremia.
This was the point I was trying to make exactly, that you can diagnose it in the absence of hemophagocytosis. So do not insist on finding it. Do not delay the treatment for this reason.
Absolutely.
What's your carry home message? Put your carry home message. What should they take home? You're not going. What's the... And carry dinner message. What should they take for dinner today? Yep.
To suspect HLH, if you have a very sick child with fever, bicytopenia, splenomegaly as one of the diagnoses, not to only consider infectious causes, work on it, and not see the other spectrum of disease which can be there.
So I'll correct you on your carry home message. This is exactly what you don't want. Don't wait for the child to be very sick. If you got fever, hepatitis, cytopenias, start thinking HLH. That you catch it early.
I think that's the message. If you have a multi-system disease, liver involved, pancytopenia, HLH number 1 on the diagnosis. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.